Diyan lang ako. Paalam lang ako dyan eh.
Madali hanapin.
Pwede pong maka.
Dali. And I get a phone call away.
Thank you po.
It's such a pleasure to be here, to see the young faces, what we were 50 years ago, with the world ahead of us. And to see our colleagues, my friend Jack, whom I was his best man at his wedding.
Really?
Uh,
I didn't know that.
Prospero Tuanyo, my classmate, my batchmate in
Batchmate pala.
residency. The ever glamorous crush ng bayan, you know who she is. That's no other than Ningita. And the superstars in the industry, in the profession, that's Richco, Rainier, Darby. It's such a pleasure to see you all here. Did I miss somebody? Well, Salceda. I always forget the word
Salceda.
doctor because we were so familiar with each other. He was the chairman of Perry at the time I was a first year resident. And as a resident, you just assisted in the cataract surgeries and spent most of the time hanging around waiting for the next case. So Dr. Salceda would often drop in at the doctor's lounge. And I was his favorite listener because he would tell me stories about his past, about his mentor, about Geminiano de Ocampo. He said, "Did you know, I worked with Geminiano de Ocampo. He had a patient at Bombay, tawad ng tawad. What Dr. Geminiano did was he brought the Bombay around the clinic. You know how much that costs? You know how much that costs? And the secretary, and I have to pay the rent and the electricity." And then so Bombay was so embarrassed, he did not ask for a discount anymore. And then one day he gave me a book on Rizal the ophthalmologist, again written by Emiliano de Ocampo. He said, "Really read this." So I did. It was very interesting. One of the passages I remember said that Rizal's study of ophthalmology was born out of a love of a son for a mother,
Yes.
preceded by long and arduous training in the best schools of Europe, done as an exile from his own land.
True.
So Salceda said, "What do you think of that?" Well, he's a hero, sir. Yeah, he did it for his mom. How can one conclude that Rizal went ophthalmology because his mother had cataract? There were other doctors who would do cataract. His sisters had difficulty in childbirth. He could have been an obstetrician.
Puloso po talaga.
So he said, but I liked what the conclusion of Dr. Jimenez said. He studied ophthalmology because he wanted to cure the Filipino people of the blindness of ignorance. So, may quotable quotes tayo as an ophthalmologist. We want to cure the people of the blindness of ignorance, which was quite profound. So we had a lot of talks in the operating room, and then he said, "Alam mo, nagpapa-opera lang naman yung mga pasyente sa'yo kasi wala silang pera eh. Paano?" He always ended this sentence with paano. Kung may pera yan, magpapa-opera ba sa'yo? Sabi ko, "No, sir. You owe them as much as they owe you." And that lesson I had kept in mind throughout residency, which was a profound insight coming from a man whom we revered. So I stayed after finishing residency. He gave me my first job at Perry as a research associate. And after a few months, I had found a fellowship in Australia. So I did pediatric ophthalmology. And when I came back, he gave me a job. He was now chairman of he's director of the PGH. He was the doctor of the president. And he said, "Willie, I want you to take care of the big fish." This might infringe on private physician-doctor relationship, but I Googled it, and Google said that if the person is already died, doctor-person relationship, doctor-patient relationship is not inherited
Yes. So,
unless third parties will be compromised. So I think we can safely say that he was the president's doctor. So and then both on both sides, on both the president's side and Imelda's side, they all had glaucoma. And so he assigned each one of us to the siblings of Imelda. So Manny Agulto was assigned, but he was sent to Boston for training. Tapos ako pinili ni Badoy. So we call him Badoy pag hindi siya nakatingin. So sabi ko, sir, hindi naman ako glaucoma eh. Pediatric ophthalmology ako eh. Sabi niya, sino bang glaucoma natin? Si Celia, sir. You want me to send Celia to them? Kasi Celia was young and beautiful and, he would be prey among the predators. So he wanted to protect Celia. So I did the job. So all I did was take intraocular pressure. And it was severe glaucoma, so a big Mercedes-Benz will pick me up at 4 p.m., bring me to the office. He had the complete equipment. I just do intraocular pressures every other day. And then on weekends, a private plane will fly me to Tacloban just to take an intraocular pressure. And then there's nobody there in the island. So I had a speedboat. I learned how to water ski, snorkel, a swimming pool, but there was nobody else but me and the help. But I learned sports. And I think I have to credit my interest in that. I said to myself, someday I'll have a boat. Someday I'll water ski. And all of those things came to pass. And then money came back, and also that was a temporary job. I was pitching in for money. Money came back from fellowship, so I went back to my usual routine, doing assistant research work in Perry. And then after it became very busy because some of the residents who established practice in Manila decided to go the province. So I inherited the practice of Celia. She fell in love with an American and went to the US. I inherited the practice of Boy Torno, Bob Rosales. It became very busy, and then Cosme Nabal, the father of Carlos, took me in to do his outpatient clinics on Saturdays. So I was really getting a lot of work in my first decade of being an ophthalmologist, so I was burned out by the time I was 40 years old. So I told Dr. Jose, sir, I want to take a sabbatical. Sabi niya, hindi ka pa qualified for a sabbatical, Willie. Then I said, sir, I'm submitting my resignation. Sabi niya, teka muna, write me a letter and we'll see. So I wrote a letter that I'm undergoing a midlife crisis that I have to attend to the things I forgot to do. Okay, I'll take it up with the chancellor. And then he came back a week later and said, you know what? They approved.
They approved your sabbatical.
And then he dropped me a bombshell. Okay. May I request you to give half of your salary so that I can get another fellow to subsidize a fellow. Anyway, you don't need the money. What can I say? Yes, sir. So my half of the salary went to one of the Marine brothers. No? And then I went on sabbatical. I enjoyed it so much. So I went windsurfing with young people, and then when the rains came and I'm in the middle of the ocean, I'm just smiling to myself. Wow, this is better than doing strabismus surgery. And then 1 year passed, and I went back. I enjoyed it so much. I submitted my resignation. And he was pissed off, I think, to say that pissed off. He didn't even talk to me. He said, submit it to Rosie. So I went to Dr. Anoche and gave my resignation. Sabi naman ni Rosie, let's count your years of service. 17 years ka na pala eh. yung 3 years as residency counts.
Really?
So your 20 years already qualifies you for a early retirement or separation pay. So I got a separation pay, so with that I bought a jet ski. But then our relationship with Dr. Seda continued because his office was just one floor ahead of me. I'm in the second floor. He was on the third floor. And when there was traffic, I would pass by his office, we'd have coffee to pass the traffic, and we will discuss things.
MCM?
Yes, we run the residency program at that time. MCM had a residency program, but there were very few. We had 3 residents. I think one of them, Junie. Thank you for coming. Junie Pangalanan is prominent Pangalanan from Lipa. And he was one of our alumni. So we did that for a couple of years until then Salceda then Dr. Salceda became ill. When he got sick, he went into depression. He didn't talk. I would see him sometimes in the lobby of Manila Medical and on second floor having his rehab, and he would he was not his lively self. So I would sit down, and then I told him, "Sir, I have an elderly patient who's also very frail, and who told me that she wanted to dress up well. He wanted to look good. He didn't want to be smelly. He didn't want to be stinky because otherwise people will not visit. So I think, sir, you're very good looking, except that you got some warts on your face and there's a dermatology clinic there." So sabi niya, "Tama ka na nga dyan, puro kalokohan pamili." But when I saw him a few months later, ang kinis na ng mukha niya.
Paderma na.
If you will look at the pictures of before his stroke and after his stroke, makinis na siya. So, and then I told him, "Sir, you must be I visited him at his house once. You must be very proud of your career. You have had all the important positions. You were director, chairman, and everything, you name it." And he said, "Frankly, Willie, they don't mean anything to me now." Well, I really don't know what to say about that, but he led an extremely active academic life. I think his whole life was devoted to ophthalmology. He had very few hobbies, and what can I say? He was my mentor, my friend, a decent human being, a simple man, a man who said that as you grow older, all your heroes will fall one by one. So all the people you admire here now, as you get better than them, they will fall one by one. But I think it is safe to say that all of us can tell him that, Dr. Salceda, you're one hero who in our hearts and minds will never fall down. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for that